A bankrupt blacksmith in 1837 picked up a broken sawmill blade, hammered it into a new shape, and accidentally built a company worth over $50 billion today. That one tool, a self-scouring steel plow, solved the problem every American farmer was losing sleep over. Nearly 200 years later, John Deere doesn't just make tractors, it controls the future of global food. Here's how one man's invention became the most powerful agricultural empire on Earth. The man who started it all. To understand John Deere's dominance, you have to go back to 1804, the year John Deere himself was born in Rutland, Vermont. He trained as a blacksmith and by his late 20s had built a decent reputation in Vermont. But debt followed him like a shadow. By 1836, creditors were closing in, and Deere made a bold decision. He left his family behind, moved west to Grand Detour, Illinois, and started fresh with nothing but his tools and his trade. Illinois in the 1830s was a land of enormous agricultural promise, but there was one brutal problem. The thick, sticky, clay-rich Midwest soil was nothing like the sandy soil back east. Farmers were using cast-iron plows designed for lighter New England dirt, and in the Midwest, that heavy prairie soil would cling to the iron blades like glue. Every few feet, farmers had to stop, crouch down, and scrape the mud off the plow by hand. It was exhausting, time-consuming, and frankly, it was making farming in the Midwest nearly impossible. John Deere saw this problem firsthand in 18. According to historical records, he came across a broken steel sawmill blade at a local sawmill. He studied it. That polished steel surface, smooth, slick, and strong, gave him an idea. He cut and shaped that blade into a plow, one with a highly polished, curved steel moldboard and share. When farmers dragged it through the Midwest soil, something remarkable happened. The soil didn't stick. It slid right off the polished steel surface cleanly, the way a spade through wet sand works differently than through clay. Deere called it the self-scouring steel plow. Farmers who had been struggling for years couldn't believe the difference. Word spread fast. By 1838, he had sold 3 plows. By 1839, he'd sold 10. By 1842, he was making over 100 plows a year. Demand kept climbing. In 1848, Deere relocated his operation to Moline, Illinois, chosen specifically because it sat on the Mississippi River, giving him access to transportation routes and raw steel from Pittsburgh. That move was one of the sharpest business decisions in American industrial history. By 1855, Deere's factory was producing 10,000 plows a year. The company was no longer just a blacksmith shop. It was a manufacturing operation feeding the hunger of an expanding American frontier, building the business empire. John Deere incorporated his company as Deere Company in 1868, just a year before his son Charles Deere joined the business. Charles would prove to be every bit as important to the company's future as his father. While John was the inventor and craftsman, Charles was the businessman. He expanded the product line, built out a network of independent dealers, a distribution model that was genuinely ahead of its time, and pushed the company into new agricultural equipment beyond plows. John Deere died in 1886, but Charles kept the company growing aggressively. Under Charles's leadership, Deere Company began acquiring other farm equipment manufacturers. By the early 1900s, the company had a far wider catalog: cultivators, corn planters, hay rakes, and more. Then came the moment that would change everything. In 1918, Deere Company purchased the Waterloo Gasoline Engine Company in Waterloo, Iowa, and with it, the Waterloo Boy tractor. This was the single most consequential acquisition in John Deere's history. At a stroke, John Deere entered the tractor business, the industry that would define the 20th century's agricultural revolution. The Waterloo Boy wasn't particularly elegant, but it worked. And more importantly, it gave John Deere engineering expertise, a manufacturing base, and a foothold in powered agriculture. From 1918 onwards, John Deere committed entirely to the future of mechanized farming. The horse-drawn era was ending. John Deere made sure it owned what came next. The 1920s and 1930s were turbulent years for American farmers. The Great Depression devastated rural America. But John Deere made an extraordinary decision during those dark years. They extended credit to struggling farmers rather than cutting them off. This wasn't just compassion, it was strategic. It built a loyalty so deep that when those farmers recovered, John Deere was the only brand they'd ever buy again. That reputation for standing by the customer in hard times became embedded in the company's DNA and in American farming culture. In 1937, Deere Company celebrated its 100th anniversary. They were already one of America's great industrial companies, but the best was still ahead. The two-cylinder legend, the Johnny Popper. Ask any old-school American farmer about John Deere, and within 60 seconds they'll say two words, Johnny Popper. From 1923 to 1960, John Deere built its tractor line almost exclusively around two-cylinder engines. Most competitors had moved to 4- and 6-cylinder designs. John Deere stuck with 2 cylinders, and the decision was not stubbornness, it was genius. The 2-cylinder engines were simpler, cheaper to maintain, more fuel-efficient for their era, and could run on low-cost fuels including kerosene and distillate, critical during the cash-strapped Depression and wartime years. The distinctive pop-pop-pop exhaust sound the engines made earned them the nickname Johnny Popper. Farmers could identify a John Deere tractor from half a mile away just by sound. The models A and B, introduced in 1934 and 1935 respectively, became legendary. They were versatile, affordable, and reliable. The Model A in particular could handle virtually every row crop task on a Midwest farm. By the late 1930s and through the 1940s, John Deere's 2-cylinder tractors were dominating American farms. But by the late 1950s, the 2-cylinder formula was reaching its engineering limits. Competitors like International Harvester and Ford were pulling ahead in horsepower. John Deere made one of the boldest moves in corporate history, a complete secret overhaul of the entire product line. The project was called the New Generation, and it was developed in absolute secrecy for years. On August 30, 1960, a date still celebrated in John Deere history, the company revealed an entirely new tractor lineup with 4- and 6-cylinder engines in Dallas, Texas to 6,000 dealers. The event was so dramatic and the new machines so impressive that dealers reportedly cheered and wept. It's known simply as Deere Day in Dallas. The new generation tractors, the 30110 and 4010 models, were an instant sensation, more powerful, smoother, and better than anything the competition was offering. By 1963, John Deere had become the #1 tractor manufacturer in the United States, overtaking International Harvester for the first time. They have never relinquished that position, going global and diversifying. Through the 1960s and 1970s, John Deere expanded aggressively beyond the United States. They established manufacturing plants in Germany, France, Spain, Mexico, Argentina, and South Africa. The green and yellow brand was becoming a global symbol of agricultural power. But Deere wasn't content to be just a tractor company. Under the leadership of William Hewitt, who served as CEO from 1955 to 1982, John Deere diversified strategically. They entered the construction equipment market with excavators, bulldozers, and loaders. They expanded into lawn and garden equipment, the riding lawnmower market that today is enormously profitable. They built out a financial services division, John Deere Financial, which became one of the most important pieces of the whole business, providing loans and leases directly to farmers and equipment buyers. The construction equipment division, though never as dominant as the agricultural side, gives John Deere a critical buffer against the cyclical nature of farming. When crop prices drop and farmers cut back on purchases, construction demand can carry the company. This diversification strategy is one reason John Deere has survived recessions, commodity crashes, and global disruptions that destroyed competitors. The 1980s brought one of the worst farm crises in American history. Falling commodity prices, high interest rates, and crushing debt devastated the farm economy. Farm equipment sales across the industry collapsed. Many competitors, including the mighty International Harvester, once Deere's greatest rival, buckled. International Harvester's agricultural division was sold to Tenneco in 1984 and rebranded as Case IH, ending more than a century as an independent competitor. John Deere survived, cut costs sharply, and emerged from the crisis leaner and more focused. By the time the farm economy recovered in the late 1980s, John Deere was more dominant than ever, and most of its old rivals had either collapsed or been absorbed into conglomerates. The technology revolution. Precision agriculture. Here is where the story of John Deere becomes truly extraordinary, and frankly, a little unsettling. Because John Deere didn't just survive the digital revolution. they led it. In 1997, John Deere introduced GPS guidance systems on its machines. At the time, using satellite navigation to steer a tractor across a field seemed almost science fiction. But Deere saw it clearly. The future of farming wasn't just about horsepower, it was about data. It was about precision. The Green Star System, Deere's proprietary precision agriculture platform launched in the late 1990s, allowed farmers to map their fields, track yields row by row, and apply seeds and fertilizer with extraordinary accuracy. Instead of spreading inputs uniformly across a field, variable rate technology let farmers apply exactly the right amount of seed or fertilizer in exactly the right spot based on soil conditions. The reduction in waste, the increase in yield, the efficiency gains were dramatic. Farmers who adopted precision agriculture reported significant cost savings per acre. Then John Deere built the Operations Center, a cloud-based farm management platform that aggregates data from every machine on a farm. GPS position, engine performance, yield data, field mapping, all of it flowing into a single digital dashboard that a farmer could access from a smartphone. By 2017, John Deere had collected data from over 150 million acres of farmland globally through its connected equipment. Today, that number is vastly larger. In 2017, John Deere acquired Blue River Technology, a startup using machine learning and computer vision to create see and spray systems. Here's what See and Spray does. Cameras on a sprayer travel down crop rows at speed, and artificial intelligence identifies individual weeds in real time, spraying herbicide only on the weed, not on the surrounding crop or soil. The precision is staggering. This technology can reduce herbicide use by over 90% in certain applications. It is not a future concept. It is in production, on the market, operating in fields today. In 2022, John Deere unveiled the 8R autonomous tractor, a fully self-driving tractor that uses 6 pairs of stereo cameras, GPS, and AI to plow, plant, and work fields without a human operator. A farmer can monitor it remotely via smartphone. This is not a prototype. This is a production machine that you can buy. John Deere has filed for more patents in artificial intelligence and machine learning than almost any traditional industrial company in the world. They have transformed from a farm equipment manufacturer into a technology company that makes farm equipment. The distinction matters enormously. The right to repair controversy, but John Deere technological dominance comes with a dark side that's generated enormous controversy in recent years: the right to repair battle. As John Deere's equipment became increasingly computerized, the company began restricting who could repair their machines. A farmer in Iowa whose $500,000 combine breaks down during harvest, a window that might be only a few days before crops are lost, used to be able to call a local mechanic or fix the machine himself. Today, many critical repairs require a John Deere dealer with proprietary diagnostic software called Service Advisor. Independent repair shops don't have access to it. Farmers don't have access to it. This has led to an extraordinary conflict. Farmers began sourcing cracked, hacked versions of John Deere diagnostic software from Ukrainian internet forums just to maintain machines they legally own. The absurdity of that situation, American farmers pirating software to fix their own tractors, made international headlines and sparked a political movement. John Deere has argued that the software restrictions protect the integrity of complex precision systems and protect operators from dangerous unauthorized modifications. Critics, including farmers, independent repair advocates, and multiple state legislators, argue it's about protecting dealer revenue and creating a captive market. In 2023, under enormous pressure from farmer advocacy groups, and after several U.S. states moved toward right-to-repair legislation, John Deere signed a memorandum of understanding with the American Farm Bureau Federation, promising to provide farmers with greater access to repair tools and diagnostic software. Whether that commitment translates into genuine access remains a hotly contested issue in the farming community. The right-to-repair battle reveals the tension at the heart of John Deere's power. The same technology that makes their machines extraordinary also makes farmers dependent on them in ways that previous generations never were. The numbers. How dominant is John Deere today? Let's put John Deere's dominance in concrete terms, because the numbers are genuinely staggering. Deere Company reported net revenue of approximately $61 billion in fiscal year 2023, a record for the company. Their net income that year was over $10 billion, also a company record. They employ approximately 82,000 people worldwide. Their market capitalization regularly exceeds $100 billion, making them one of the most valuable industrial companies on earth. In the United States, John Deere's agricultural equipment division holds well over 50% market share in large row crop tractors and combines, the big machines that harvest America's corn, soy, and wheat. In combines specifically, John Deere's market share in North America is enormous, with CNH Industrial's Case IH brand as their closest competitor but at a significant distance. John Deere operates manufacturing facilities in the United States, Germany, Finland, France, Spain, Brazil, Argentina, Mexico, India, China, and Russia. Their global dealer network comprises over 4,000 dealer locations worldwide, with approximately 1,800 of those in the United States and Canada alone. John Deere Financial, their financial services arm, manages an asset portfolio of roughly $50 billion in equipment loans and leases globally, a financial institution in its own right, larger than many commercial banks. The combination of manufacturing scale, dealer network lock-in, proprietary technology, financial services, and brand loyalty that has been built over nearly 190 years creates a moat around John Deere's business that is extraordinarily difficult for any competitor to breach. New entrants face not just the challenge of building better machines, but of overcoming a brand relationship between farmers and John Deere that spans generations. The future: autonomy, electrification, and feeding 10 billion. The world will need to feed approximately 10 billion people by 2050. The United Nations estimates that global food production will need to increase by roughly 50% from 2012 levels to meet that demand. The land available for farming is not growing. The water available for irrigation is under stress. The workers available for farm labor are declining in most developed countries. Climate change is making weather less predictable and growing seasons less reliable. John Deere has positioned itself as the company that solves all of these problems simultaneously. Their investment in autonomous equipment means farms can operate with fewer human operators, addressing the labor shortage. Precision agriculture technology means the same land can produce more food with less water, less fertilizer, and less pesticide, addressing resource constraints. Electric and hybrid powertrain development will reduce dependence on diesel, addressing emissions and fuel cost concerns. In 2023, John Deere demonstrated electric versions of several construction machines and announced ongoing development of battery electric agricultural equipment for lighter-duty applications. Full electrification of large row crop tractors remains a significant engineering challenge given the massive energy demands, but hybrid systems and alternative fuel work is actively progressing. John Deere has also been expanding aggressively in India and other developing agricultural markets, recognizing that the long-term growth in equipment adoption is in Asia, Africa, and South America, regions where small and mid-size farm mechanization is still in early stages. The company that began with a broken sawmill blade in 1837 is today building artificial intelligence systems that can identify and kill individual weeds in a crop field, piloting autonomous tractors that operate in the dark without a human hand on the wheel, and managing the data infrastructure for hundreds of millions of acres of farmland across every continent, from a Vermont blacksmith hammering scrap steel into a plow to a $100 billion technology and manufacturing giant. The story of John Deere is one of the most remarkable in American business history, and in a world that must figure out how to feed billions more people on a planet under increasing strain, it may also be one of the most important stories of the century ahead. That's how John Deere became the most powerful tractor company on earth, not just by building better machines, but by building the future of farming itself. If you found this breakdown valuable, drop a like and subscribe. We cover deep dive stories on the world's most powerful companies every week. Let us know in the comments. Do you think John Deere's technology dominance is good for farmers, or has it gone too far? The right to repair debate is heating up. We'd love to know where you stand.